Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities in case you missed it for September 2024. Now, normally when I share stories on In Case You Missed It, they're fairly weird and sort of out there, but they're meant to give you a laugh. However, in this case, we're going to do something a little different. This is a more serious matter, and I'm hoping to bring awareness to the situation. So, let's get into it. This is Marcellus Williams. As you can see, this is also a mugshot, so you know right away he's in jail. Or rather, he was in jail. Marcellus was convicted in 2001 of killing newspaper reporter Felicia Gale. Marcellus Williams is now dead as he was executed by the state of Missouri on the 24th of September 2024. However, things aren't as black and white as one would want them to be in this sort of case. In fact, it's looking more and more like a grave injustice was done. The prosecutor's office and Felicia Gale's family have argued that Marcellus should not be put to death. When the victim's family says, "Don't kill the person who was convicted of killing their family," you stop and listen. And that's exactly what was happening until Attorney General Andrew Bailey stepped in. In August, the prosecutor on the case, Wesley Bell, offered up a deal known as an Alford plea, in which Marcellus pleads no contest to charges, and that would have changed his sentencing from death to life in prison without parole. This was something Marcellus agreed to. The reason for this was because Wesley Bell noticed issues from his predecessor and believed Marcellus Williams was an innocent man. This was his attempt to buy time to prove his innocence and have him exonerated. Wesley Bell brought up arguments that his predecessor didn't handle the case properly. He says that there was racial bias during jury selection by his predecessor. The two witnesses who testified, one being Marcellus's girlfriend at the time and the other an inmate, were potentially motivated by monetary gain as there was a $10,000 reward. The biggest thing, however, was a mishandling of evidence not only by police, but by the prosecutor's office as well. When the murder weapon was recovered, it was handled by investigators not wearing gloves. They contaminated the evidence. Not only that, but Marcellus Williams' fingerprints and DNA was never found on the weapon. What was found were fingerprints and DNA from those investigators. When Wesley brought this up in argument to Judge Bruce Hilton, he agreed to it and gave a consent judgment. Now, this is where Andrew Bailey comes in. Andrew Bailey appealed the judgment, stating that the new evidence isn't strong and doesn't clear Marcellus Williams of the crime. Bailey brought up the issue to the Missouri Supreme Court, who ordered the judge to put aside his consent judgment and have an evidentiary hearing. At the hearing, the original prosecuting attorney testified that the evidence was mishandled in 1998 and it could have exonerated Marcellus. The lack of DNA was brought up as well. Judge Hilton, however, decided to uphold the original sentencing, making people question why or what could have caused him to reject the Alford plea he consented to beforehand. In a last-ditch effort, Williams' attorneys reached out to Governor of Missouri, Mike Parson, and asked him for a pardon. Considering Mike Parson wouldn't pardon Kevin Strickland, a man who went through an almost identical ordeal as Marcellus Williams, their chances of receiving one were slim. Sure enough, Parsons refused to pardon Williams despite the evidence stating to the point that he was an innocent man, the family of the victim not wanting him executed, and the prosecutor on the case believing in the innocence of Williams. All this meant nothing. The case even went to the U.S. Supreme Court, which was split on what to do. Because of their inaction, the execution of Williams took place. Adding insult to injury, the Williams family is now receiving death threats from various people who have their information. Right now, it's believed to be white supremacists who were pushing for the execution of Williams. This whole thing is a giant mess, and it could have been avoided if two people would have stepped up and said, hey, let's look into this. I wanted to bring awareness to this for a few reasons. One of them being is to show how much power a handful of people have. Your life being in their hands, and regardless of what evidence shows, if they want you dead, you're dead. Another reason is to show that something needs to change with the justice system. It's broken. When there is evidence of someone on death row being innocent and the victim's family asking for said person not to be executed, then they should be taken off it. No one was asking for him to be let out of jail, but taken off of the executioner's list. However, that's not how it works and probably never will. Imagine how many innocent people are not only behind bars, but wrongfully executed in what can only be called legalized murder. So, to Mike Parson, Andrew Bailey, Bruce Hilton, the Missouri Supreme Court, and a portion of the U.S. Supreme Court, you can all suck a fat one. And that concludes In Case You Missed It for September 2024. Thank you all for watching, and next month we'll be back to the normal fun In Case You Missed It. So, we will be seeing you in October.